So among all this craziness going on with Bethesda's massive tweets, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I just posted a video on it, and then we had a Walmart leak like 2 days ago, and there's just a lot of things going on now that we are only a month away from E3. Either way, among all of this, we actually got a tweet from Pete Hines from a few days ago that was, well, pretty promising, definitely building up the hype for E3. On May 10th, so yesterday, he did say, Bethesda Showcase is in 1 month. I'm starting to get excited. We have a lot to show you this year, might be our longest E3 showcase ever. Not sure, but it's packed. So that's definitely something you want to see going into an E3 showcase. Last year was immensely disappointing, and Bethesda definitely have to prove themselves this year if they don't want their fans as hateful as they currently are. Go right through the comments of most of my previous Bethesda videos and you'll see how little faith people seem to have in Bethesda nowadays. As exciting as that tweet was, it's not really the story here. The tweet was posted on ResetEra, which is more or less a forum. It's actually the home of another leak we got about Starfield a few weeks ago. More or less where someone was posting how they theorized that Starfield's actually going to be a mobile game, and one of the responders said no, it's actually going to be a full AAA game. Those being the only details he did unveil, and you might be like, well, who cares, some random guy saying that. Well, later on, there was actually an addendum added onto that post that one of the administrators on this website actually was in contact with him and added that he may actually have genuine inside information. I reached out to him and we never actually found out what this information was, but it's plausible that he works in the gaming industry, as ResetEra is actually a fairly restrictive site and definitely has some pretty hardcore moderation. To even sign up on this website, you need to have a paid email address, so it can't be from Gmail, Hotmail, or anything like that. It can be like a student ID, or if you have your own website like I do, that's how I got in. And again, even just off this one random guy posting something, the administrators on that website went to get further clarification for his claims. Well, with all of that in mind, we actually got a response from one of these administrators on this post about Pete Hines' tweet about this E3 showcase being the longest ever. There's this general discussion about E3 going on, and what this administrator responded was, one of the announcements may cause people to fall out of their seats. So now either on one hand, this guy is an amazing troll. He is just speculating and screwing with everyone, or he is subtly suggesting that a new Fallout may or may not be announced at Bethesda's E3 conference. Now again, let me just try and convey some of the culture about ResetEra. It's not like Reddit or some of these other forums out there. It's much more heavily moderated, and claims like this do tend to have some legitimacy behind it. Many of the users are claiming that this administrator does have background knowledge. He is someone that works in the gaming industry, so we very well could know what Bethesda is going to do at this E3. Now I'm just going to take a short break from this, and if you guys are enjoying the content, you guys can subscribe. I've actually been posting a ton of speculation videos, and I'm doing this all during finals, which, you know, it might impact my grade a little bit, but if I could get some subscribers in the process, hey, it's an even trade-off, right? I'm really pushing hard to get to 250,000 subscribers, so if you do like this kind of stuff, you can subscribe. Either way, those were largely the facts around this situation. A very exciting tweet by Pete Hines, a post of that on a forum, and one of the administrators of that fairly large forum responding with something that could be suggestive. So maybe it's wishful thinking, or maybe it's just reading too deeply into things, but I can imagine he used the phrase Fallout without realizing the effect it would have. Despite many people calling him out or saying, hey, do you mean there's a Fallout? He never responded. He did make other posts on the website in other areas, but just never directly responded to anyone that questioned him about the usage of the phrase Fallout there. In addition, this is something I've actually been kind of thinking of. If you guys don't know, Fallout 3's 10-year anniversary is coming this November. That in itself is a massive milestone. It really just shows how far Bethesda has come with that franchise and really the kind of world they've created. Although yes, of course, Fallout was around before Bethesda. If you actually look at their 3 games, or the 2 games they made and the 1 game they licensed out, it has created a literal cult following around the franchise, and millions of people have experienced the games as a result of Bethesda Game Studios. Many would argue that the Elder Scrolls is Bethesda's like true baby, but I would say Fallout's definitely a pretty close runner-up, if not even with it at this point. So with all that in mind, do we really believe that Bethesda is actually going to release nothing for the 10-year anniversary of Fallout 3? It is without a doubt possible, and I'm not going to rule that out, but I definitely think a remaster could be coming. I don't think it's likely, but with a comment like this, with all the things we've been hearing about E3 and how hyped internal team members at Bethesda are getting, it definitely seems like there's going to be something really special at this E3. So maybe it actually isn't all that unlikely for us to get Starfield or a new AAA IP as the main announcement, and then a follow-up one, like one of those, oh, and there's one more thing at the very end, and they reveal Fallout 3 Remastered. Again, this video is way more heavy on speculation than a lot of my other ones, but it's really interesting, and especially the way the comments worded. Although yes, it would be crazy and amazing to have a big reveal that no one was expecting of a new Fallout at this E3, but if there's speculation and people actually hopeful for it to come, they'll get a lot more live viewers on the day of. I'm not necessarily saying that Bethesda played a role in this Fallout thing, but I'm also not saying it's impossible. Maybe a few weeks ago they saw the Starfield leak on there and they're like, hey, maybe we'll use that as a platform. And then they contact one of the administrators, then he lets this slip. I don't know. I'm just saying that's super theory crafting and not something I normally do. But either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. A little bit of a shorter one, but of course we also do have our psych fun fact of the day. It's yet another one on industrial organizational psych, and more specifically this time it's actually going to be on motivation theories, or how certain psychologists of years past have theorized that you can get people motivated, either personally, like I want to be a more motivated individual day on and day out, or actually from a company standpoint to actually get your employees more motivated by using this theory and applying it in some way. The first one's going to be self-efficacy theory. It's going to be by Bandura, which if you've actually taken like an intro to psych class or even some of the just lower level psych classes, you probably heard of this guy. He's a pretty famous psychologist. So the idea behind self-efficacy theory is that if you think you're going to fail, you won't engage in that behavior. So like let's say you are an employee and they're like, all right, so you have to build this website from the ground up. As an employee, you might be like, yeah, hell no. That is not happening, and I am definitely not going to do that. But if instead your employer comes to you and is like, hey, can you, design like a landing page for a website of this theme, and then can you design like a employee page, then a calendar page, etc., you kind of get the idea. Giving individual tasks that get increasingly more difficult is a much better way to actually get somebody motivated to do those tasks. This is actually kind of mirrored in memory. I think I've given you guys this as a psych fun fact before, but your memory is actually best for things of medium arousal. So what that means is, let's say you are stressed for a test. That's actually pretty good for you as far as remembering things. If you don't care at all about the test, you're probably not going to remember things as well. And if you are way too stressed, you're also not going to remember things as well because it's overburdening you. But if you're moderately stressed about it, that's actually pretty good for your memory. According to the self-efficacy theory, it actually applies to motivation also. If a task is way too easy, you're just going to brush it off and not actually feel super motivated about doing it. And of course, also, if it's way too hard, you're not going to want to do it because it seems unachievable. So something companies should do, according to this theory, is actually implement tasks in kind of a increasing difficulty manner, so you can become more confident at your job and then actually get on to some of those harder and bigger picture things. But yeah, it's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys are having a, good finals week, or hopefully your finals week is coming to an end. But with that, I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.